What is going on, everybody? Unlike a lot of videos on YouTube that you see, today I'm going to tell you on why you literally do not ever need in your entire life to ever buy a $7,000 guitar. In fact, you don't need more ever than even a $2,000 guitar, maybe even a $100 guitar, depending on what kind of player you are. Hey, real quick, before I jump into this video, if you're interested in private guitar instruction with yours truly online, my email is in the link in the description below. Just shoot me an email, state your case, and I will get back to you. Also, don't forget to sign up for my free monthly newsletter, free written guitar lesson every month, as well as access to all of my tabs. Link in the description and pinned comment as well. Back to the video. Okay, so recently I saw a video that there's been a lot of hype around, and that's about the Herman Li signature model from PRS that just came out, and apparently there's only like 200 of them or some, I don't even know what the number was. I could be wrong about that. Correct me in the comments on what it was. But I've seen quite a few videos on it. One of them was actually from a buddy of mine, Andre Flood. Go check out his channel, by the way, if you've never seen his content, although a lot of you watching probably know who he is. He's the homie. So go check out his review of the guitar. But also, I'm going to tell you why I think you never need to buy this guitar in your entire life. And it's not a knock to Herman Li, it's not a knock to anyone who's reviewed the guitar, and it's not a knock to PRS. This is my explanation for expensive guitars. Now, there is a rabbit hole that I fell into probably about 5 years ago, and this was when I was living in Nashville, and I was on tour very frequently. And I got this really weird sensation all the time that the guitar I was playing was just not right. It just wasn't perfect enough for me. There was a bunch of crap wrong with it all the time. And it caused me to literally end up like selling my guitar, like the current one that I would have, and buy a newer, more expensive one, or just trying out like a million different guitars. And then I started, after basically starting with an $1,000 EVH Wolfgang Special that I had at the time, and somehow ended up by the end of this journey literally upgrading to a $2,300 Ibanez Prestige. And there was a lot of guitars in between that somewhere. And I was just buying into the facade that my guitar wasn't good enough for what I was doing because it wasn't expensive enough. And I really need this thing to achieve this goal. And eventually, once I got the Ibanez Prestige, it was a really cool one, by the way. It was all silver, made in Japan. It had the 5-piece neck on it. Really beautiful guitar, but I ended up getting it and getting so frustrated with the journey that I had embarked on in that last couple of years that I had been doing that I actually ended up selling even that guitar, being unsatisfied with it, and it eventually led me to buy the $4,000 guitar that I bought that's from the Jackson Custom Shop. Now, obviously, I still have that guitar. It's actually in the shop right now, and I'll explain that in just a few minutes. But I want to explain the hindsight of the situation that occurred on this when I was on this guitar buying journey. And that really was a factor of quite a few things, but the main thing was that I was looking for something magic that didn't actually exist. And it was me coping with my own playing at the time. And I know a lot of people, see the videos and they're like, "Oh man, you're a great player, etc." And while I appreciate that, even the best players struggle with this kind of identity crisis sometimes of their own playing. Now, recently I've been on one, actually with tone. Like recently, I don't know what it is, but I've just been hating my tone every time I plug in the guitar. And the irony is I've been using kind of like the same tone for the last, at least like probably the last year or so. And I've never really been like unsatisfied with it until only recently. I just started plugging in, I started hating everything that I'm hearing. And sometimes it actually is like detrimented me to the point of like not playing. Like I'll just plug in and I'm messing with my tone so much that eventually by the time I feel like I'm gonna live with the sound that I've achieved, that I actually just don't want to play anymore. And this was kind of the fatigue
that I was experiencing on my guitar buying journey, that I had been so unsatisfied with like whatever mental arrangement I had come up with in my head for this thing, that I eventually would get the guitars and then not even feel like playing them anymore because of how much fatigue I had from the buying journey and all the anxiety that I had experienced from buying so many guitars, and of course the anxiety of my wallet now being depleted at that point by the time I bought the Jackson. And I realized that there was quite a few flaws in my technique at the time. This was probably like almost 5 years ago now. So there was a lot of kind of flaws in my own guitar technique at the time, and for some reason I had it in my head that the only thing that could fix these flaws was the guitar that I was playing. I always thought it had to do with, oh, the neck radius is too round for me. Oh, the action isn't low enough. Oh, I just need a whammy bar on the guitar because that'll affect the string tension, and that's why I can't actually bend into the notes that I'm wanting to hear. Or, oh, I can't play fast enough because my action, the string gauges are too light and my action is slightly too high, and if it's 1 millimeter off, it's not right. Literally, these are the things that I was experiencing. Like, I'm not even exaggerating this. I would literally walk into my luthier at the time, which shout out to Modman Guitar in Nashville. He's literally one of the best luthiers I've ever met on planet Earth. He's a savage. You got to go see him if you've never heard of his place in Nashville. If you live there, you got to check him out. But it would be so like insane to the point where I'd walk into his shop and he'd have one of my guitars on the bench, and like, let's say I don't know, the high E string was sitting at like 0.5 millimeters or whatever, if I'm saying that right, I guess. I would like want him to adjust it to like 0.4, like just by 1 millimeter, or maybe like 2, like to 3, when it literally like did not matter at all. I ended up getting rid of most of these guitars, and it got to a point, right, where I finally shelled out the money, and I had the most expensive guitar at that point. I had, spent $4,000 on the Jackson, and at that point I was pretty much out of money to be able to buy any more guitars again, right? I actually sold almost all my guitars too in the process, and then later on would go to sell the rest of them just due to other circumstances at the time that I was experiencing in leaving Nashville. So by the end of the whole thing, I had no guitars left other than this one guitar. Now, of course, like I said, a couple of them I sold to help pay for the Jackson, and then some of the other ones I actually sold because of like a whole nother thing that I kind of experienced in leaving the Nashville scene, which was just like, I don't know, that's a story for another video. But anyways, I ended up with one guitar, right? And with this one guitar, nothing was magical about it in the sense that I never actually, it didn't immediately fix any of the things that I was experiencing in my own playing. It was just, now I had this expensive guitar, and I realized that everything I had done was a complete facade when it comes to guitars. I'm like, oh man, you gotta be kidding me. And I remember literally thinking that, I'm like, I have lied to myself for 3 years or 2 years or however long I was doing that. I can't remember fully. I remember when that feeling hit me of I had lied to myself about this guitar fixing all the problems I had, and everything that I thought about the physical object of a guitar is a complete lie. It's all about the player. It was like the old cliche thing. It finally hit me like a ton of bricks. It's like, it's not about your instrument. It's just about you and how you play the instrument. So through those, that course of time that I was going through that, obviously I started taking lessons again, and then I, in the process, was able to correct a lot of kind of the bad habits that I was experiencing. And then finally, coming full circle on that, when I only had one guitar left and I was, starting to really get into the nitty-gritty of correcting those bad habits, is when I finally was able to enjoy guitar again, as cliche as that sounds. I finally realized I was the problem. It had nothing to do with my instruments. And once I had corrected that technique, I realized that I could go into Guitar Center and literally play a $100 guitar and have it sound just as good as my $4,000 guitar. And that's when I realized that I would never spend that much money on a guitar ever again. Unless, maybe I would if it was a custom guitar, only for me. and I had to have it or something, like, and it cost me that much, maybe I would. But I would never buy like any name brand guitar for the sake of just having it for that much money ever again. Because it's not going to affect my playing, right? I could make a Squire sound good, and I could make the Jackson sound good. I can make a Les Paul sound good, and I could make a shitty $100 Kramer sound good, you know? And to anyone that knows about $100 Kramers, you know that guitar is shitty. It is kind of my opinion, but it's also kind of true. So once I came to this realization, I actually went on a separate buying kick of just buying cheapo guitars. And that's how I ended up with the Squire, right? I got the Squire, and of course now it's all decked out. I've probably actually put like $1,500 into that guitar, but I initially bought it for $175. But now it's pretty much a custom guitar. And you know, obviously now that's evened out for me somewhere in the middle, where I think it's very subjective. It's like, hey, what guitar is going to be the best for you? It doesn't have to be $7,000. And definitely don't let yourself get lied to by major companies saying that this $4,000 or $5,000 or $6,000, $7,000 guitar is going to make you better. It's not. I can guarantee you that is the case. If you are struggling with something like that, the only thing that's going to make you better is you and practicing a lot. And I know that a lot of people don't want to hear that. Maybe it also sounds cliche, but it is just the truth, you know. And, you know, I think also, though, I want to say this, there's nothing wrong with buying an expensive instrument. If that's something you truly feel led to do and you just want to do it because, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. You know, one of the homies that I know right now is really wants this Murphy Lab Les Paul, and it is, I think, actually like $7,000, like, or maybe $7,500. And I know for a fact, like, he just wants it because it's a nice guitar. Like, it has nothing to do with making him, you know, it has nothing to do with him thinking like this thing's going to change his playing or anything like that. This is just one of those things where he wants it because it's basically a collector's item and it's a really nice guitar, and it's like, hey, I want to have this guitar. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with doing something like that. And, you know, being a guitar collector is a very cool and interesting thing to do. And there's absolutely no issues with owning expensive guitars for that sake. But I think if you're buying an expensive guitar thinking that it's going to change your playing, I can just tell you right now it absolutely won't. And in fact, maybe I would even recommend getting like a $200 Squire and fixing a bunch of bad habits on that guitar, because then when you do go to play a way more expensive guitar, you're going to only notice subtle differences, and it's going to be way more objective for you to decide what guitar is the best one for you at that point, because you'll have personal preference developed much easier that way than just buying something for the sake of buying it, thinking there's some magical thing attached to it. I see people review guitars online. I'm actually kind of one of those people to some extent. Like, I have a couple reviews. I might do more in the future. I mean, they're kind of fun to do. But I also kind of sometimes feel like this salesy angle from it. Like, oh, you got to buy this guitar. It's going to make, it's like, look, here's the bottom line. Buying a guitar is not going to make you a better player. Buy a guitar because you like the guitar. You think it either looks cool, plays cool, you know, all of the above, sounds good. That's the biggest one for me. Does it sound good? Like, does it sound good not plugged in? If you literally just go, why did I even turn that knob up? Like, if you do just chords, does it sound good? Or does it sound bad? You know what I mean? Like, this, people don't want to believe it, but this does have a sound. Even though it's not an acoustic instrument technically, this has a sound. It still makes sound when you don't plug it in. So if it sounds bad not plugged in, it's guaranteed it's going to sound bad plugged in. I'm just being honest. You know, the wood still matters. So there's stuff like that, right? But don't get scammed, you know, into buying a really expensive guitar because you think that's the one you have to have, if it's not true. If it's something that you want to have just because you like it and you know that already, and you just want a collector's item, or you want, you know, just a nice piece of art that's in guitar form, and you like collecting guitars and just having cool guitars, then by all means, go ahead and do that. Hey, if the Herman Li PRS came out and you're like, I want that, Herman Li's my favorite guitar player, and I'd love to have that signature model, by all means, go buy the guitar. if it's something where you're like, hey, this is a $7,000 guitar, I bet if I buy that thing, I'm going to become a wizard guitar player. Don't fool yourself. I would definitely save your money and don't purchase that item. I mean, here's the Yngwie Strat, you know, Yngwie Malmsteen's signatures on it right here. And Yngwie is my favorite guitar player, but I also I mean, for me personally, I believe that his guitars are some of the best ever made, and they are perfect for the way I play guitar as well. There's plenty of signature models out there that I would not buy because they're not good for my playing. In fact, Eddie Van Halen is one of my favorite guitar players ever, if not my favorite, on top of Yngwie. And I would never buy his Frankenstrat signature model. And that's just me personally. It's really not a good guitar for me. I don't really like the way it plays. I've played quite a few of them. I used to own a couple Wolfgang Specials. I mean, I don't have them anymore for a certain reason. So, you know, there's a guitar out there for everybody, but it doesn't have to be $7,000. That's kind of the moral of this video. So if you can relate, let me know in the comments. What do you think about this video? And, you know, I have just a couple lesson slots left, everybody. I will be closing lesson slots very soon. So if you've been waiting to email me, you know, you watch these videos a lot, you've been waiting to email me, don't wait too much longer, because once these are filled, I will be closing for the foreseeable future. So email me below if you want private one-on-one guitar instruction with me, and I will get back to you. And don't forget, sign up for the free monthly newsletter, and I will see you on the next one.